Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And we do full-length car reviews each and every week, and we stop halfway through each video for a segment called Questions, Coffee, and Cars, and we've spun it off. We're at number 85. How do you get a question in?
Follow along on Instagram at Motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out with Zach and I holding coffees. Once we gather our questions, the post is deleted. It's only up for a short time, and then we start the show.
Time now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
Thanks for educating the consumer with your content. Thank you. I own a Mazda 3 Premium all-wheel drive 2022, and as per my owner's manual, the recommended service interval is 5,000 miles when driven in extreme conditions and 10,000 miles even driven in normal conditions. I stay in sunny Southern California, and I assume my driving conditions don't fall under extreme driving conditions. However, dealer automatically sets my maintenance reminder to 5,000 miles, 6 months every time I visit them for service. Can you shed some light on the service schedule here?
So there is a school of thought that if you live somewhere where you do a lot of stop and go city driving, on and off the gas and the brakes, and it's a heavily populated area like Southern California, that could qualify as extreme driving. But I don't think you need to do every 5,000. I think you could maybe split the difference if you're concerned about it and do like 7 or 8 or go full 10.
It also gets really hot in California. Summertime can get really warm, and that is also extreme driving. So really cold temperatures, really hot temperatures, depending on the roads that you're driving on. If you've got a lot of dust, that can constitute for extreme driving as well. So, I would really go by what the dealership is telling you to do. You want the best. Like for us, we're at Volkswagen and in Vancouver, and they are a good dealership. You really get the vibe from a dealership if they're good or not. You know the relationship that you have with yours.
But the thing is, dealers are known for churning business. Like they will call you up or send you an email saying, oh, it's time to bring your car in. And the owner's manual is the Bible for your car. You should follow that. But a lot of dealers will say, oh, it's time to bring it in. It's 5,000 miles when the book, even in extreme, will say it's 7, right? So they try to churn the business. They're trying to make money, but you can split the difference. That's probably the best way to do it.
And check the owner's manual. You didn't mention in here what the owner's manual said. If it said the exact same.
Yeah.
Like, does it have some sort of a mileage schedule for you? Double check that and then compare it with the dealership. Hi guys, love your show. Keep it going. We need to replace our 2012 Murano with something a little smaller and definitely more fun. I used to buy 2 to 4-year-old German sedans, and I enjoyed the performance, handling, and driving dynamics. Your opinions seem to align with mine, so I thought I'd ask you, what might you recommend in a small midsize SUV under $50,000 that will give me the closest to enjoying those same feelings when driving again? I prefer new for leasing options, but used is not out of the question. For me, right off the bat, if it's a non-luxury vehicle, I'm going with a Mazda. You don't need a lot of space, it sounds like, so you could go for the CX-5 or the CX-30, which is substantially smaller, especially headroom in the rear seat. But I would say that Mazda is the only non-luxury brand that offers that engaging, fun drive that I really like. You could also go for something like an Audi Q3, although I find that the steering on Audi models is very light. You can get an Audi, that middle trim, for just over 50,000 Canadian.
Yeah, not sure if this is US or Canadian dollars, but that's going to make a big difference. If it was me, I would look at a CPO, which is a great idea, certified pre-owned BMW X3. And there's going to be loads of them coming back off lease that are 2 and 3 years old, depreciated heavily. You can get that extended warranty, and that is going to give you what you're expecting, which is a German driving experience. The problem is an X3 is really about the same size as a Murano, maybe slightly smaller, but Andrea's choices are good too.
And also,
the other one is an X1. X1 is great too.
So another thing to remember is that even though it's a CPO vehicle, make sure you read that warranty, because it doesn't cover everything. We have a viewer who did get one, thought it covered everything. He had problems with his infotainment system, and he had a bill for over $8,000, and he was shocked.
Or get an extra warranty and when you buy it.
Why do some dealerships work under the cash is king mentality and offer additional rebates if you were to buy your car outright, but other dealers prefer if you finance your car? I actually don't think cash is king is the thing anymore because they make money on financing.
Yeah, there's a couple of ways to look at it. It depends month to month what the incentives are in play. And every month, the car manufacturers put out a new incentive. So if you don't like the incentive in play, you can wait for the next one. So what you have often is you have a reduction in interest rates where they're buying down the cost of the money, say from a rolling rate now of like 7 or 8%, and they'll say, okay, the interest rate is 2.9 or 1.9%. So the car company's actually buying down that money. So if you say I'm coming in at cash, sometimes they'll put that reduction towards the MSRP, which is good. But Andrea's right. It's a big profit center for them to have you sign up for leasing or financing because they make money on the interest rates typically.
And here's something interesting. A viewer who was waiting a long time for a hybrid to come in wanted to pay cash, and they actually were more inclined to give it to somebody on the list that was going to lease the vehicle.
One thing we don't see and you don't know, and it happens all the time, is from the company, not the factory, from the company to the dealer network, there's communication going on all the time about certain incentives. If you sign up this many leases or this many finances, so there's lots of programs that happen between the dealer and the company that we just don't know about.
Does resale matter if you just love a car? And top 5 hybrid SUVs. Well, resale value is a big deal for some people. Sometimes it's at the top of their list along with reliability. But for us, we buy a vehicle because we love it. We don't buy it based on reliability. When we put our GTI review out, some of you said, oh, I mean, why would you buy that car? Terrible reliability for Volkswagen. Yeah, Volkswagen can have problems for sure, but we bought the vehicle because we love the vehicle.
Yeah, but we've also tended to choose cars that hold value. So you're absolutely right. Right. Resale value is the number one cost of owning a car,
Yeah.
but you can just throw that all out the window if you really just got to have it and you don't care. I get that. And if you're in a position where the dollars and cents don't matter as much, and there are people out there that just have money and they want to buy what they want, that's great. But the biggest cost of ownership is depreciation, and buying what you want can factor into that.
Yeah.
Always cars that are unique and different, or there not a lot of them sold, they typically hold their value better.
Top 5 hybrids in the non-luxury category: CR-V, Kia Sportage, Hyundai Tucson, RAV4. Anything else I'm missing? Corolla Cross.
Yeah, those are the top ones for
Those are
sure.
the top. Hi guys, absolutely love your channel. Thank you. I'm looking to buy a small SUV and have it paid off before retirement. This will be our last vehicle, so reliability is most important, followed by comfort. I like the Cadillac XT4, but thinking Honda CR-V may be the better choice. What are your thoughts?
What about what about doing a premium car and not a luxury car like an Acura RDX?
Yeah,
So
RDX.
so you basically getting the CR-V in Acura form. It has been modified obviously to make it an Acura, but
Yeah.
you can kind of have a little bit of both. You can have a bit of the luxury and you can have the Honda reliability.
Yes. Now, JD Power gives the XT4 predicted reliability score of 85 out of 100.
That's high. From them?
Very high.
From JD?
JD
Yeah,
Power.
that's- wow,
And
that's good.
Consumer Reports 42 out of 100. But Consumer Reports does tend to score quite low. However, in saying that, the CR-V both give it a great score. Consumer Reports 80 out of 100 and JD Power 78 out of 100. So if you are really worried about reliability, you may want to go with the Honda. And the RDX is a great option
One thing-
because it is quite reliable now.
Absolutely. The one thing you want to do is if you're not in a rush, and it sounds like you're not in a rush because you're going to buy and keep the car for a long time, is you want to wait for the 2025 RDX. Acura has made changes to the MDX. They've announced that already. Probably the same thing will happen with the RDX. So they're going to change the infotainment screen so you don't have to use the trackpad. It's just a touch screen. That's the one you want. So whenever that RDX is updated to include that, that might be on your list too.
Yes. Love your videos. Thank you. My question, as Mazda continues to expand their lineup and elevate their quality of vehicles, do you think we will see Mazda eventually exit its current price range in order to compete more with the luxury brands such as Audi and BMW? I don't believe so. I just don't. You have to remember that Mazda, if you look at their interiors within the non-luxury category, for sure, they feel premium, but they're not better than what a BMW offers or a Mercedes-Benz. And then you've got to talk about driving dynamics with that too. And I think that they are in a really great category right now where they're non-luxury, but they're elevated. What do you think?
So it all depends on which trim you get. Like, so we'll pick a mainline car like a CX-5. That's their best seller. Yeah. On the entry level vehicles, they really stack up well price wise and feature wise with a lot of their competitors like the RAV4 and the CRV. When you get into the top trims like the GT trim and the signature trim, then they add in all the interior fancy stitching and padding and leather that the other brands just don't offer. So they're able to straddle all the way from entry level to quasi-premium in one brand. And that is something that so I think they could even push up a little bit higher, but also the number one thing is to keep that core base customer as well.
I don't think that they can push up higher. I think they're already high. I mean, you look at their vehicles, you look at Hyundai and Kia with the Telluride and the Palisade, and their interiors on the top trim are also quite nice. And then you've got Mazda with the CX-90 or the CX-70, and those top trims are up around $60,000, $65,000, depending on whether you get the plug-in hybrid or you get the high output inline six. You look at an X5 and it's starting at around $85,000.
Yeah, but I'm talking premium. I'm not talking luxury.
You're talking
Acura, Lexus, Infiniti. They're bumping up into that sort of category, and they want to be an alternative to those. On the bottom end, they've got the mass consumer covered. On the top end, they have an exclusive buyer covered.
I think also, some people don't look at Mazda like they look at Lexus. When somebody gets into a Lexus, they feel like they're driving a true premium vehicle. Otherwise, they're going to buy a Toyota or even something like the Crown Signia, which is Lexus Light. So maybe instead of just saying Mazda, they could do what Toyota's done with the Crown. And they elevate it that way, maybe.
Yeah, they tried
look
to
at it differently.
Sorry, they tried a premium brand for about 2 minutes, and it went away. So
Didn't fly.
So I think they're trying to straddle two categories with one company.
Yeah, they could try and see how it goes. Hopefully a fun question for you both. Being auto journalists, you both get to drive such a bevy of cars and most likely get really used to jumping in and out of different makes and models with ease. But is there any vehicle brand you've jumped into and just feel uncomfortable and go, what the heck is this? Thank you. Keep up the great work. Is there anything that you...
Well, I just want to say that, things have changed a lot in the last 20, 30 years. There are really no crap cars anymore. It all comes down to, shades of gray and which is doing better in comparison to its competitive set. But, that's part of a problem we have with the auto industry as well, is it's also very homogenous.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of sameness. So you get in and out of these cars and you go, well, that's just their kind of version of what everybody else is doing. So there's no real glaring omissions. We've had some Stellantis products in the last couple of years. We drove the Compass that was really loud and noisy.
Compass wasn't great. They've updated that, but we still haven't driven that yet to even know the differences. There's one vehicle that stands out for me that I just didn't like.
What was that?
The Lincoln Navigator. Remember the seats?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh, I didn't like the floaty feel of it. I didn't like the steering. I didn't really enjoy its maneuverability, and the seats were uncomfortable. Now, some of you with the 32-way power seats who own the Navigator said, I don't get it. They're so comfortable, but it just wasn't for me.
But that's just sort of like a trim thing. The actual overall vehicle is fine for what it's designed to do.
Oh,
and they'll sell you the Ford Expedition, which will have different seats and is built on the same platform. But it's part of a problem is that a lot of cars are so similar. It's the opposite. It's not that one stands out as a glaring dud. It's that they're all pretty good now.
And also you see with the screens, right? Kia went with the solid screen. Hyundai went with the solid screen. Now BMW is going with that streamlined screen.
Well,
You can
Mercedes
see
had
all
it
the
first,
traits.
yeah.
Yeah, Mercedes. Does the production origin play a big role in the SUV quality? Subaru made in Japan and Toyota Honda made in North America. Now some Toyotas are also made in Japan. Right?
So a lot of them are made in North America. Toyota has kind of a rule. If it's over, I'm trying to remember what the number was, 100,000 units that they would have to ship.
Yeah.
They want to have production locally. So that's why there's so many Toyotas made in North America, is they do a lot of volume. But you know, one thing I remember when BMW opened in Spartanburg for the X3, I think was the first vehicle that went in there. I might be wrong. There was a lot of uproar about the fact that BMW is not made, and they said designed in Germany, made in America, and that has proven to be a massive success for them.
Yeah.
That factory produces high quality vehicles. X5 is right near the top of quality scores.
We hear this a lot, though, that if a vehicle is made in Japan or Korea, it's going to be better quality. When you talk to the manufacturers, they say, no, we have the same quality standards in place from plant to plant. But we do see when a vehicle is made in North America that sometimes it does have more problems. However, keep in mind, those are typically new vehicles. So it is hard to know for sure. We did talk to someone, you know, top guy at Volkswagen about vehicles being made in Mexico, vehicles being made in Germany. He said, no, we have the same quality in place.
Okay, so one example is, and we'll use the Canadian example because we have a big production facility for Toyota. So a lot of the mainline cars they sell for Toyota and Lexus are made at that facility in Cambridge, Ontario. We're talking RAV4, RAV4 Hybrid, Lexus NX, Lexus NX Hybrid, Lexus RX, Lexus RX Hybrid are all made in Canada, and that factory is second only. They do the quality scores for factories around the world. Is the #2 factory in the world for quality, and always is. And so, and the only one that beats it is the Lexus factory in Japan.
Right.
And so they're #2. It's the very first production facility to make Lexus outside of Japan. So it can be done.
And look at Honda. They're building vehicles in Canada as well, and they are reliable. But I know a lot of people do think, oh, I'm not going to buy that because it's not made in Japan or it's not made in Korea anymore. We saw that with the Crosstrek. In the U.S., the more powerful engine is assembled in North America, but in Canada, it's still assembled in Japan. So some people right away when they saw that, they were like, oh no, why? Why can't it all be made in Japan?
It's interesting because in Canada, we get a lot of Teslas that come from China.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are quite happy because their Tesla's made in China, because apparently the ones that come out of the China factory have a higher quality than the ones that are made in California. So go
there
figure.
You go.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, that's it for us. Thanks for watching. If you want to get a question in, follow along on Instagram at motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday I put a post out with Zach and I holding coffees. It's only up for a short time. Once we gather our questions, the post is deleted and we start the show.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.